A very good morning, everybody. This is the last season of semester 4 students, and they are going to make presentations today on 21st century literature, or let us call it contemporary literature. By the word contemporary, or let us say 21st century, we mean that the literature that is published in 21st century. It may or may not have the characteristics of the 21st century. Some of the literary text may be quite traditional, almost similar to the Victorian literature also, but they might be talking about the characters, the themes, the locations which are of 21st century. So in that way, we may better say the word contemporary English literature rather than the 21st century literature. Many times 21st century is associated with digital culture. And so when we talk about anything that is 21st, it is connected with digital culture and other things. But all the text which are in the syllabus and on which the students are going to make presentations may or may not have that intervention of digital cultures in the literary narratives. So today we will have the presentations in this morning session. Let me share a screen to see the list of the presenters and their topics. Okay, so we will have the first one by Aarti, and she will make a presentation on representation of youth in Revolution 2020, a popular novel by Chetan Bhagat, followed by Anjali's presentation on thematic study in Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Avani will make it on the price of privatization, examining education through Chetan Bhagat's novel Revolution 2020. Bhavyata will make it on migratory impulses, examining the journey from Gun Island to real life contexts. Drashti's presentation will be on Beyond Bestsellers, unpacking postmodern elements in Chetan Bhagat's works. Gayatri will make it on narrative technique in Revolution 2020. Ghanshyam's will be on the depiction of scavengers in the Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Gopi will make it on Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island as a climate fiction. Hetal on exploring major political events with reference to Arundhati Roy's novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. And finally, in the morning session, we will have Hina's presentation on ecofeminism in the myth of Mansa Devi in Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island. So let us start with the first presentation. Yes, Aarti, you can start your presentation.
Hello everyone, I am Aarti Sarvaiya. Today is the first day of semester 4's presentation. Today I am going to make presentation on representation of youth in Revolution 2020, the novel by Chetan Bhagat. This is my personal information. Table of content about the writer, about the novel, representation of youth in the Revolution 2020, conclusion and then references. About the writer, Chetan Bhagat, a rising star in the contemporary modern Indian literature, is having a multi-talented personality. He is a novelist, columnist, public speaker, and screenplay writer. His notable works includes High Point Someone, The Mistakes, The Mistake of My Life, and Two States. Most of his literary works addresses the issue related to Indian youth and their aspirations, which earned Bhagat status of youth icon. Chetan Bhagat wrote two more books like Revolution 2020 uh, and What Young Indian Wants. Additionally, he received Society Young Achiever Award, Publishers Recognition Award, and Filmfare Award for Best Screenplay. His most of his works are taken as a for a film like Three Idiots and Half Girlfriends. Chetan Bhagat is seen more as youth uh, icon than just an author. Almost all of his novels are overloaded with social realism and the youth shedding light on their ambitions, struggle, love, affair, marriage institutes, corrupt politics, and media culture. About the novel Revolution 2020, also titled as the Love, Corruption, and Ambition, is a story of success and failure of three youngsters: Gopal, uh, Gopal Mishra, Raghav Kashyap, and Aarti, who live in a small and traditional town called Varanasi. The subtitle of, as I mentioned, that subtitle of this novel is Love, Corruption, and Ambition. Uh, ambition. The Revolution 2020 is a critical novel on corruption in Indian education system and coaching classes for competitive exams in India. The novel is set during the first decade of 21st century. In it, Bhagat focuses on trends of coaching classes to get selected into India's topmost colleges. Bhagat has shared his experiences which he got from different parts of India. Speaking about plot, story, and character, Bhagat gives credit to his extensive journey of India that takes place to deliver motivational speeches across the country. Gopal, who is one of the character of this novel, who represents a lower middle class family, Raghav, middle class family, and Aarti, upper class family. Thus, this core group of character presents a metro society from a filthy rich to marginalized poor. So each class of the readers can somehow emphasize with the lead actors. This winding of the best show Chetan Bhagat's sheer brilliant in planning and executing his attempt to create a bestseller. He always writes the contemporary issue and real issues of society. So he is for that he is the bestseller. uh, Representation of youth in Revolution 2020. Youth is a future builder of a country. They need to have their goals and aspiration clear in their minds. No one can deny the fact that there are a lot of expectation from the youth, but they are burned, burned with this expectation. Um, Chetan Bhagat is a social critic who presents a dark areas of society in light-hearted manner. In each novel, Bhagat picks up one of the ambiguous of the society. Bhagat has covered a major issue of Indian society like education system, trouble of campus life, corruption, aspiration, expectations of youth predicament in job and cricket race. In this novel, also we can get the idea that uh, Gopal's father is also having expectations from his son that he will clear the exam. Chetan Bhagat, Bhagat's The Revolution 2020 deals with the issue of youth, such as dreams and aspiration, victories and defeat. Uh, this novel is also present that youth, the journey of three students' life, that how they are being separate and how they got different their dreams. Um, this quote is from the book that stupid people go to college, but smart people own them. This is this by this quote, Chetan Bhagat tries to say that uh, Gopal's character is a more applicable for this, that he is very connected with this, that he is motivated by a political leader, and and he also becomes he also takes help of politics for being a rich. Revolution 2020 explores the corruption prevailed in education system. It also has explored the aspiration, greed, and money-mindedness in today's youth. Chetan Bhagat has explored the biggest problem of all times in India, uh, and the problem of corruption is aggravated, that it has engulfed every corner and profession of India. Uh, he also he has also felt the gravity of corruption, and he made this social issue the background of this novel. That Gopal, who is belongs to a poor, a lower class family, but he takes he motivated by a political leader, and he takes the help of politics, and being a rich person. Chetan Bhagat has exposed the corruption prevailed education system also. That he also mentions the how corruption is included in the educational life. The story of Revolution 2020 is woven in such a way that the characters are shown to be the victim of the social issue. The situation got so much worse that the protagonist of the novel ultimately chooses the path of corruption to become successful businessman. If on one hand, Chetan Bhagat exposes the serious issue of corruption in India and its adverse consequences on today's youth, on the other hand, he further explores the feeling of love in the young heart. This time, the novel explores the love triangle story. The two friends are fall in love with the same girl. One person is very ambitious, and by hook or hook wants to earn money and confronts of life, and the other person, Raghav, use his intelligence to bring a revolution in the country. The novel also projects the picture of unfair society in which the Indian youth are struggling to fulfill their ambitions. The novel sheds light on the hot topic, the corruption in education. The author criticizes how the educational institutes become business centers, that the quota and coaching classes are takes money from the students, uh, and uh, and get, gives the hope to students that this time they will finally uh, clear the exam. Gopal's journey from the poor middle class to young rich person shows the corruption in education system. That Gopal, in starting, he is having a poor background, and when he takes the help of political leader, and he becomes a rich person. The novel narrates the ambitions of youth, their struggle, the problem of unemployability, the scenario of private coaching classes, and the job job fairs. Through Gopal's character, the author has succeeded to present two attitudes of youth. In the beginning, Gopal says that nothing will happen here. This is India. No revolution will take place in 2020, and no revolution would take place in 2120. That he at the first he has the mindset that um, there, this is India, and there is there will be no changes in this and at the end this is a negative. At the end, we can say the negative attitude. However, at the end we learn some bits of positivity through his act of sending Aarti back to Raghav. Chetan Bhagat delivers the message at the end of the novel that if we want to bring revolution, we have to contribute. In this novel, that when Raghav and when uh, Gopal helps to to uh, unite Raghav and Aarti. Then at that time, he helps to make their relationship and he helps to get married for both of them, and he helps them, and that at the end he conveys this message. Conclusion: Chetan Bhagat, through his novel, tries to explore the mindset of youth, their struggle and fear for making a good career choice. Sometimes they get carried away by societal pressure, and the other times politicians use their energy and strength for wrongful and selfish use. This new generation uh, meet people from different sections of society in their colleges and universities. Um, Chetan Bhagat has also explored various different angles of younger generation. He very well explored the angle of love in almost all all his novel. The other common thing in his novel is a college-going youth, the hydroxy coming their way at this age. Revolution 2020 explores the corruption prevailed in the education system. It also has explored the aspiration, greed, money-mindedness in today's youth. These are the references. Thank you. Now you can ask me a question.
Keep the reference field open rather than the thanks. At the end, when everybody is going to keep the reference field open.
Aarti, my question is, what societal issues or challenges do the youth face in the novel, and how do they respond to them? Please share your own opinion.
Uh, in today's life, youth are facing many problems re- many problems uh, like corruption and political outcomes, and that some of them are being agreed, and some of them believes that it is own uh, our own fate that we have got this, and some of them are fight against them, and
Aarti, my question for you is that how does the novel depict youth characters' ability to balance their professional as well as career ambitions with the pursuit of personal passions or interests outside the
um, in this novel, there are three main characters: Aarti, Gopal, and Raghav. Three of them are different talents and abilities, but Raghav uses his personal abilities and personal interest into his career, but in the character of Gopal and Aarti, we can find that Gopal is uh, more motivated by politics, and he wants only to become a rich person. He does not having any kind of passion or interest. He is only interested in making a money. And in the case of Aarti, that she is not very much agreed or with her dream. Good morning to all of you. Today is the first day of presentation semester 4, and in which I am going to deal with my presentation topic, thematic study of the Ministry of Utmost Happiness. This is my Acha, this is my personal information. Table of contents, introduction about the novel, themes, conclusion, and references. Arundhati Roy is a compelling of fundamental and contemporary landscape of contemporary India. She is an Indian author and political activist who is best known for award-winning novel *The God of Small Things* in 1997. And for her involvement in environmental and human rights causes, which resulted in various legal problems. She studied architecture at Delhi School of Architecture and worked as a production designer. She has written 2 screenplays, including Electric Moon, commissioned by Channel 4 Television. She is also the author of several non-fiction books, including The Cost of Living, a highly critical attack on the Indian government for its handling of the controversial Narmada Valley Dam project and for its nuclear testing program, Power Politics, and a book of essays. And the Algebra Infinite Justice, a collection of journalism. In 2017, Roy published in her second novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. In 20 years, the work blends personal stories with topical issues as it process uses a large cast of characters, including a transgender woman and a resistance fighter in Kashmir, to explore contemporary India. Arundhati Roy was awarded the Lennon Prize for Cultural Freedom in 2003. Her latest book is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, her second novel, and it was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize, and in the US was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award. About the novel, Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness is a compelling explorations of manifested landscape of modern India. Her latest work, which deliberately blurs the boundary between fiction and non-fiction, creating a novel that constantly pushes against its own generic demands. Unfortunately, it fails in exploiting the flexibility of the genre and bends it at the wrong places, revealing too much when silence is required and blocking the vision when more articulations may have been welcome. This results in the novel that, despite its fearless political positions, becomes a caricature of the world that Roy has been analyzing uh, for the last 2 decades. The first section of the novel, comprising the first 6 chapters, takes a sweeping view of the developments in contemporary Indian history, connected its various signposts, the Bhopal Union Carbide disaster, the massacres of the Sikhs in 1984, of the Muslims in the Gujarat carnage in 2002, the rise of the Hindutva, the drama of civil rights movements that center around the Anna Hazare and Arvind Kejriwal in Jantar Mantar, and the tribal uprising in Bastar. The second section in the novel, that chapter 7 to 9, explores from multiple perspectives the issue of Kashmir's long struggle for independence, which has been variously dubbed separations and militancy in contemporary discourse. In the final section, comprising the chapter 10 to 12, the narratives of the first 2 sections are brought together to suggest an optimistic closure. In the first section revolves around the life of Anjum, and who is born a hermaphrodite to Muslim parents, and she is born as Aftab, and then she became Anjum, who had named their infant Aftab. There are 4 events which transform Aftab and Anjum's life: her discovery of the Kwabga, a Haveli of Hijra, of which she becomes a resident, her deep attachment to the orphan girl Zainab, her travel to Gujarat in 2002, where she faces the Hindu mob who spare her because she uh, she is a hijra, and finally her decision to move away from the Kwabga to Jannat, the graveyard. It is during her fantastic residence in the graveyard, reminding the reader of the real life Mona Ahmed, that Anjum meets Saddam Hussein. Uh, Roy begins the prologue with a fairy tale like a depiction of the magic hour, uh, in a tune of the starting of the novel. The theme of environment. Arundhati Roy started the prologue with a fairy tale. It is one kind of tone, and the fairy tale like a depiction of the it magic hour, but quickly shifts to stark imagery of flying foxes, crows, banyan trees, and old graveyard. Uh, Arundhati Roy is a zealous and internationally recognized environmental activist. Arundhati Roy contributed to the cult of environmental writing. The global environmental challenges have drawn her attention and provided her writing with an uncompromising spirit. And the epigraph attached to the Ministry of Utmost Happiness reads to the unconsoled. The mood of the writer resonates in the epigraph, where she acknowledges the presence of those who are unconsoled. In the novel of the Ministry of Utmost Happiness, where the environmental challenges are in the starting of the novel, where 8 magic hour, in the tone there were starting of the rise of moon, rise of sun, uh, and there were a tone of the novel, in the theme of environment, though the readers are not aware of the identity of these unconsoled people, yet their presence is a dominant one. As the narrative progresses, the prologue to the novel provides a glimpse of the author's inclinations and concerns. It magic over tells the Arundhati Roy as the beginning of fairy tale. However, the fantastic imagery of the magic hour takes a sharp with the introduction of flying foxes and crows and trees and graveyard. The unsated appetite of the human has led to the extinctions of white-backed vultures and sparrows. The vultures and natural scavengers and feed on the dead flesh. However, as the prologue tells, the vultures have died of dictofenic intoxication. Veterinary administration of dictofenic is a muscle relaxant in crows and buffaloes to enhance dairy production has led to the large-scale death of white-rumped vultures. The vultures populated Indian forest and helped in the process of sanitation by consuming the carcasses of dead animals. Thus, the critical environmental issue has been brought to focus by Arundhati Roy. Intertextuality and translation. This biological duality of Anjum is further reinforced through the patches of intertextuality, such as transliteration of Urdu verses of classical Urdu poets, creating polyphony that replicates the hermaphroditic protagonist. It is interesting to note that the use of intertextuality frequents the text in the first part of the novel that deals mainly with Anjum's story. In the later part of the novel, these code mixing intertext rarely appear. Arundhati Roy carries this linguistic parallelism another step further by translating Urdu verses in English. So this theme of intertextuality and translation comes first, followed by a rhyme and then theme. And whatever is placed in initial position is theme. The duality of Anjum keeps on shifting throughout the novel, creating mosaic identity, a quality that Roy replicates linguistically by patching her prose with intertextuality and translation, or in Bakhtinian concept, she creates a parallel narrative. In gender identity crisis, the Anjum's innate gender identity is hijra clashed with the societal binary norms of masculine and feminine genders. So here Anjum's he is a hijra, and her parents don't didn't accept as an a transgender. This caused confusion and fear in her mother, so leading her to give Anjum the male name Aftab in an attempt to confirm the two gender expectations. Anjum's experience can be seen as an identity crisis stemming from the societal and familial non-acceptance of her non-binary gender identity. The novel highlights the struggles faced by those who don't conform to the rigid gender binary, and the alienations and marginalization they can face even from loved ones. Sexuality and love. Sexuality and love are connected to each other in Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Love is one of the major themes in Arundhati Roy's novel. While there are characters like Anjum whose sexual identity exceeds beyond the conventional norm, there are also characters like Tilo, Saddam, and others who fall under the category of the so-called conventional norm of sexuality. Arundhati Roy has not portrayed woman relationship. She had portrayed man relationship as well as man-woman relationship in the novel. The major characters in the novel are people who has been bent and broken and are in need of love. Love is the only source of hope for them in the midst of all brokenness, and it acts as a medium of healing for all that they have undergone. Arundhati Roy has portrayed how, apart from all the sexual differences between the so-called normal people and the queer people, love is the one thing that is common between them. Anjum was considered to be a man by her parents and the society, but she felt like a woman from inside Anjum, though a homosexual with a male body and a woman's soul, wishes to have a child of her own. Her dream became a reality when she found Zainab. Apart from Zainab, another person who managed to create a place in Anjum's heart was Saddam Hussein. Anjum knew him a little and liked him a little bit liked him a lot. They were fond of each other, and though the relationship they had is unnamed, they said a strong bonding. However, in spite of the love that was growing between them, it never progressed, and Saddam went on to marry Zainab. This could be seen as a result of Anjum's complex sexuality, and Anjum finds fulfillment in her love for Zainab and their adopted child. Saddam Hussein representing a more conventional sexuality and shared a strong bond and unnamed relationship with Anjum. Here, Arundhati Roy represents that Anjum's uh, portrays a spectrum of sexualities and unnamed relationship with Zainab's. Yeah, Roy highlights how love is universal, transcending the divisions between normal and queer people. In the novel, Tilo belonged to a place with Anjum called Dunya and the heterosexual world. And Tilo, being from Dunya and being a complete woman, somehow tends to enjoy some freedom when it comes to love. Tilo is a character who dwells in her own world and cares less about the world around her. The readers get to know about Tilo mostly through the eyes of landlord, and her life revolved around three men who were in love with her: Naga, Biplav, Dasgupta, and Musha. It was in their college days that the four became friends, but even after that, their lives circled around each other. Tilo and Musha were in love and they even got married, but unfortunately, their marriage did not work out. After their separation, life brought them together again, but this time, Tilo had to suffer the consequences of loving someone who was considered to be an enemy of the nation. Resilience and hope. Perseverance and resilience keep the spark between the characters alive and weave them in a common thread of acceptance throughout the work. We find enough instances of inequalities and violence through the point of view of characters and sceneries where in order to survive one must have the will and hope to never give up. The story of Miss Udaya Jevin, the baby who was adopted by Anjum and Tilo, signifies and epitomizes the importance of hope. The story of this baby is important because the writer ends the narrative on this note. Arundhati Roy points out that strength and persistence will always bring peace and calmness to the human mind. Arundhati Roy highlights the history of hope and resistance in India and the characters of resilience in the face of contemporary political oppression. In doing so, Arundhati Roy suggests that hope is the most important sources of empowerment for those who facing oppression, and suggests that although the characters may not see the immediate effects of their resistance or resilience. Conclusion. Overall, the Arundhati Roy's novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, explores several profound themes through the lives of its diverse characters, and the novel highlights environmental concerns and criticizes human actions that harm nature, such as the use of diclofenac leading to the death of vultures. It delves into the complex issue of gender identity and sexuality. Love emerges as a unifying force transcending difference in gender and sexuality. Resilience and hope are celebrated as the characters persevere through advertises, finding strength in acceptance and compassion. Uh, and to sum up, the Arundhati Roy's poignant narrative underscores the importance of embracing individual identities, nurturing love, and fostering harmonious coexistence with the environment and among the all people. Here are the references. If you have any query, then ask.
Anjali, how does the theme of love transcend societal boundaries in this novel?
Arundhati Roy's the novel, the theme of transcendental societal boundaries in the novel that Roy's portrays that novel is in with sexuality and societal boundaries that identity and norms of norms norms in the novel of Roy's the Ministry of Utmost Happiness.
Anjali, my question is, how does the puzzling epigraph to the unsolved encourage readers to ponder the significance within the story's theme?
The novel themes the novel themes in a theme of environment and the theme of environment is I mentioned in my slide that epigraph to the unconsoled. Epigraph is the tone. Epigraph is the tone for the novel, and the term used that unconsoled is the unconsoled means the unhearded, and its significance that the perseverance in the novel of Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Thank you.
Is it visible? Very good noon to you all. The education in India, when we ask and when we indulge the question of education in India, we might indulge into the philosophy of why are we studying, for what purpose we are studying, and why are we educating. One intellectual might say that we are educating ourselves for the sake of knowledge, but with this knowledge, what are we going to do? Are we going to spread our knowledge for free? Of course not. This argument and this debate may raise the question of
job opportunities. In my presentation, I'm going to deal with the topic of job opportunities, but are the this obvious and reasonable argument raises the need for job opportunities, but are the candidates having good job opportunities with the packages which matches the inflation of today? No. This presentation deals with the privatization and corruption in the education system in India. Here are my personal details. The title of my topic is The Price of Privatization, Examining Education Through Chetan Bhagat's Narrative Revolution 2020. Here I am going to deal with these topics. As Aarti also have mentioned about the author, so further discussion, I'm not going to deal with it right now. Moving forward to the theme of corruption in Revolution 2020. In the Revolution 2020, the theme of corruption revolves around the character of Gopal and Minister Shri MLA Shukla. Gopal, the another key character, faces the challenges securing admission to an engineering college due to his low exam scores. Despite efforts to improve his chances through coaching classes in Kota, he fails to secure admission to a government college encouraged by a friend, Vinay. Gopal explores the option of private college, but it is deterred by the high donation fees. However, with MLA Shukla's assistance, Gopal opens his own engineering college, symbolizing his journey from adversity to success. The novel also sheds light on the dismal states of the private colleges as depicted through the Gopal's encounter at a career fair. He observes Dean aggressively persuading students to enroll by offering significant discounts. These colleges, often established by the individuals from various backgrounds, prioritize profit over quality education. Gopal's interactions with individuals like Jyoti Verma underscores the competitive and cutthroat nature of the private college industry, where institutions disparage each other to attract students. Here is the topic of privatization. What is privatization? The transfer of ownership, property, or business from government to the private sector is termed privatization. Consequently, the company undergoes a name change from limited to private limited in its last name. India implemented privatization during the historic budget of 1991, commonly referred to as the New Economic Policy or LPG policy. Privatization in education. Chetan Bhagat satirizes the corruption and the compromised education system through events such as portrayal of quota, the bribery of numerous government agencies to obtain permission for the college, and the payment of money to well-known individuals to appoint them as lecturers at Gangatech colleges. This tactic aims to attract students by leveraging the reputation of individuals despite the fact that they never actually visit the college. Isn't this familiar? We all know that many university and many colleges are running the program of B.Ed education in the same way that we don't have to go to the college and we get the marks, very high marks and very high score, which is very helpful to get a job. But the question raised of the quantity and quality, what is the outcome of that student as he or she has taken in that those universities. The term privatization of education refers to many different educational programs and policies. It is it is a process which can be defined as the transfer of activities, assets, and the responsibility of from government, public institutions, and organization to private individual and agencies. Monica Abrol has presented the Survey of Privatization in Education in India 2016. The following table shows the growth of the private universities in India. Here is the table, and Gujarat, Rajasthan, and UP secures the first rank in the race of privatization. Monica Abrol further suggests that at higher education level, mushroom colleges have grown rapidly. Such colleges are becoming centered for selling the degrees. After paying money, you need not to attend the classes. Such institutions are more professional courses like engineering, pharmacy, education, and management courses. Due to this, employers get low wages, so government should take this kind of colleges in control. As I have mentioned earlier about the such colleges, the Hindu also shares some statistics of 140 private universities set up in India in last 5 years, maximum in Gujarat. Communist Party of India believes the implementation of NEP 2020 has accelerated the privatization of school education in India, undermining the federalism and the rights of state to shape education. The policy centralizes education, neglecting the need to strengthen public education. It facilitates the extensive privatization, including schools run by philanthropic institutions, and introduces the alternate corruption in private institutions and diverts from the commitment to provide education as a right. NEP's recommendations further deregulate the merged schools, leading to privatization of government schools and exacerbating social discrimination in education. Halting NEP 2020's implementation is crucial to prevent these detrimental consequences. The Communist Party of India points out that recently the Union Education Minister announced new guidelines for deemed universities, which encourage their formation. The plan is established a higher education commission through an act of parliament, after which the term deemed will be removed and these institutions will be called universities. The Communist Party of India believes that other past 2 decades, private investments have predominantly led professional education in India. In the current scenario of government is seen to support capitalist interest by reducing government funding for the higher education sector and allowing more space for private players. An example of this is the collaboration between Reliance Jio Institute and prestigious institutes like IITS and IISc. In professional education, the majority, 76.2% of standalone institutions are run by the private sector and with only 23.8% in the government sector. This clearly indicates the professional and higher education sectors are already privatized. With the implementation of an NEP 2020 by the government, it is likely that the remaining government institution in the higher and professional education will also be converted into the privatized entities. Here I would like to mention the Gnan Setu project. There are many projects. There are numberless projects that are the examples of privatization. But as this platform is not for my questions, my own aggressions, I would like to wind up with the only one point about the Gnan Setu project. The State Education Department on the Tuesday made a U-turn on the controversial project of setting up 400 Gnan Setu days schools on public-private partnership to admit bright students in class 6 for free education, and the schools were to be paid 5,000 to 25,000 per student every year. Now, the education department said that the rules have been changed now, and any student who has been selected in the merit list of the common entrance test will be admitted to the schools that have success rate of 80% and above. The amount which was be paid to the schools will be paid directly to the students. So in this part, it raises the question that very bright students, and which is the cream of the class, will be transferred to the private schools with the scholarships, and the other remaining are left in the classroom. So that is like disbalance the education system, and the people will see that yes, very clever and very sharp students are in the private schools, and government school has a very low IQ students. So the reputation of private schools will automatically will be raised, and as the it raised, so the classes of government schools will be reduced, and one day it will be closed because of the less number of the classes. Here I would like to mention the project of Gnan Sahayak. So the Gnan Sahayak is also problematic, as it is also related with the education system. In this, the teacher, the candidate who has passed the TET examination with the high scores are getting employment for only for 11 months. So here raises the question of the teacher training program. In the permanent job, the teacher is the teacher is given the teacher training programs, and which helps the teacher to how to communicate and to handle the classroom situation, to improve the ratio and the quality of the class. So this training might not be applicable for the candidates who are in the contract based situation. In this situation, the candidate also have time, will only have time for 11th month, and for 11th month, what he or she will do. Will he teach the students, or will he or she go to the teacher training programs? If he is not getting the programs, then his way of teaching, her way of teaching will not be considered as the very perfect manner to teach the students. In conclusion, Chetan Bhagat's narrative in Revolution 2020 sheds lights on the detrimental effects of privatization in education, highlighting its impact on accessibility, quality, and democratic principles. The analysis of NEP 2020 and recent government initiatives further underscores the acceleration of privatization trends, exacerbating the social discrimination and undermining the rights of states and marginalized communities. While going deep into the complexities of privatization in education, it is imperative to advocate for inclusive and equitable education systems that prioritize by the needs of all the students, regardless of their socio-economic backgrounds. By challenging, exciting, and politics, promoting student-centered approaches, one can strive towards a more just and accessible educational landscape for future generations. Here are my works cited. Now I'm open for the questions.
How does the privatization of education affect the accessibility and quality of education, particularly for marginalized communities?
Okay. So here the marginalized communities may raise the question of a good amount of money. not everyone in India has is as rich as everyone, and many statistics are also showing that rich are becoming rich and poor are becoming poor, and the middle class person are stuck between them. So the here raises the question of how one can afford such expenses of private schools, but there are also government schools. But right now, as we are seeing the press, many privatization of the in the education system, one might say that it's going to be very tough for the poor people to get good education, good qualitative education. So this privatization affects the education in this manner that everyone cannot afford the private schools. So that's it from my side. Any other?
As you mentioned in your presentation, the government is privatizing education due to concerns about inclusivity and funding constraints, as it may not afford such expenses. So I believe in a private education system. What is your opinion in this?
No doubt, private education might be good for rich people, but not for everyone. And as long as the question of the fundings, so one might problematize. In my opinion, I problematize the program of Kuvar Bai Mameru Yojana, in which the girls are given the very materials for wedding, and the government also arranges the wedding for these girls. So why the government is investing these funds in such trivial matters rather than investing in education system? So I think there is not at all question of fundings. I think government has lots of fundings, but it is the question of privatization. The conclusion can be that there are many ways for fundings, but it is the government is giving stress more on the privatization. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
And so, hello everyone. This is the first day of our presentation and of contemporary English literature. And for this day, my presentation topic is migratory impulses, examining the journey from Gun Island to real life context. Here is my personal information. So here is a table of contents about Amitav Ghosh, writer, or we can say author, about Gun Island, and about migration and the major reasons, and migration in the Gun Island. and sorry, I forgot to mention, and in contemporary migration. Here is the about information about Amitav Ghosh. So Amitav Ghosh is the very Indian author and recipient of numerous prestigious literary awards. He was born in Calcutta and raised in India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. He is a very famous author in India, in all over the world. Uh, his works have won a major honor awards like Prix Medisix, Sahitya Akademi Award, Ananta Purashkar, Arthur C. Clarke Award, and Crossword Book Prize, and many more. Ghosh is a notification non-fictional book, The Great Detachment, Climate Change, and Unthinkable, published in 2016. His writing has been translated into over 30 language, and he has served on juries of film festivals like Locarno and Venice. Among Ghosh, many accolades are the Padma Shri from the President of India in 2007, the 2018 Janpith Award, and the 2024 Erasmus Prize. About brief information about the novel Gun Island. Gun Island is a 2019 novel by famous Indian author Amitav Ghosh, as I mentioned. Main character of the story is Dinanath, also we can say Deen or Dinodan. He finds an old pamphlet about the merchants' adventures in the Indian Ocean, and after that, this makes Dean curious, and he goes on to a long journey across the world. On the journey, Dean hears many old stories and folk tales, and after that, the tales are about mighty floods in the past and the Sundarbans region. The stories are woven together with issues like climate change and etc. It uses the device of West adventure to explore a serious modern topic. Uh, his narrative jumps between different times, place, and storylines. This puzzling, non-linear style builds mystery and symbolism in the novel. Gun Island uses clever storytelling technique to discuss migration and nature. So let's start my topic of migration topic presentation. Let's start with what is migration. So according to Cambridge Dictionary, the process of a person or people traveling to a new place or country, usually in order to find work and live there temporarily or permanently. So the migration is a word come from a Latin word migratio, from migrates, and migration is the movement of people from one place to another to settle in a new location. Migration can be voluntary or involuntary, and can occur for a variety of different reasons, including economic, environmental, and social issues. So here is the major reasons of migration. uh, Here is a three major reasons of migration: social and political factors, demographic and economic causes, and environmental climate migrations. In migration in the Gun Island, in the novel of Amitav Ghosh, he talks about how people and animal move from one place to another, and sometimes in the novel, entire community have to leave their homes because of disaster. Mentions a big storm called Cyclone Alia that happened in 2009 in the Sundarbans. This storm made a lot of people and animals have to find new place to live and to leave their home. Here is some character who have to move some place because of this cyclone. Character like Lubna Khala, Bilal and his family, Tipu and Rafi, Palash. These all are the characters who migrate them in the novel. So here is the migration in contemporary time. So here I take two contemporary examples of people who migrate for their own reasons to first world country or any other country. Here is the 4 Indian who died at US Canada border were from Gujarat village. Here is the family from Mehsana, a family from a village of Mehsana district drowned in a river on the New York border while trying to enter the US illegally from Canada by boat. And here is the second example of Gujarat family froze to death on US border. Traffickers plead not guilty. Here is a man named Harsh Kumar Ramanlal Patel. He and his friend, they are not guilty in human smuggling case. They are helping people who want to migrate in the US, and they accused of helping a family from Gujarat, India, and in between they are died while trying to cross the border of US in Canada US border in 2022. Here I mentioned the chart about cases registered between registered in 2000 to 2011. Some cases are also happen because of migration. The data shows that this is about Punjab. Punjab, around 600 registered cases related to unsuccessful irregular migration attempts are reported annually on average over the last 10 years. In this year, 2011 and 2007, higher numbers of registered cases with 822 and 804 cases respectively. Possible reasons for the high number in 2011 could be increased referred by the police, judiciary and media. Highlights such a intense leading to more cases being registered. And here is the second chart. We can see the number of increase. We can see the how long number increase nowadays. People wants to migrate themselves in first world country. Here is the chart from just me. In her article, he mentioned about this chart, and there has been a big deal about Indians trying to go the United States without permission. The Minister of State for External Affairs said that nearly 1 lakh Indians were caught trying to enter illegally this year. That's a huge jump from just around 110 years ago. Here we can see the chart, the increasing number of people migrate in the other country. Here is the second chart of the most people who enter the United States illegally do so from southwest border with Mexico. In 2023, about 77% of them were caught there, while only about 6% were caught at the northern border with Canada. This include Indian migration too, but more and more of them are now choosing to come through the northern border. In 2014, less than 100 Indian enter that way, but by 2023, it was over 30,000, almost the same as those coming from the southwest border. Even though more Indians are trying to enter the United States illegally, they still make up a very smart part of all the people trying to do this. Most illegal migrants are from Mexico, but recently the number of Mexican migrants has gone down. Here I have found a video of illegal immigration crisis in Manipur. In this video, Manipur government capture biometric data of illegal immigration from Myanmar. The video is about illegal immigration. Many Indians are coming to UK. Sorry, many Manipur is facing illegal immigration crisis from Myanmar. Government is collecting biometric data from illegal immigrant with training session for officially handle the situation. The fights is really bad with more than 160 people killed and many people have to leave their home because of this fight. The fight are mostly between the two groups, the Kukis and Mathilis. Here is the another video of illegal migration in UK causes and concerns. In this video, Home Secretary Shuela Bravena uh, described about the many Indians are coming to UK illegally using loopholes in the vice rules and taking risky boat journeys and across to English Channel. The Home Secretary also says that many of the are trying to get through small boats. It become a danger for their health or life because many of time I also mentioned in the previous that uh, doing these things many people have to live their life and they die in this situation. Some people also pretended to be asylum seeks so they can study in the UK for cheaper fees, and even though it's dangerous, people taking risk to migrate in their favorite country, we can say. Here is the to conclude. Migration is a major human experience that happened for many different reasons like natural disasters, violence, poverty, and seeking better opportunity. Amitav Ghosh novel, Gun Island, explored this real life migration stories in an engaging way through the journey of characters like Lubna Khala, Bilal, Tipu, Rafi, and Palash. Ghosh show how people are forced to leave their homes due to cyclones, family conflicts, hardship in the Sundarbans region, and simply wanting a better life. By using creative storytelling technique like jumping between time period and blending facts with myths, Ghost makes reader think deeply about why migration happen and how it impacts people lives. The novel reminds us that migration is an ongoing challenge as we still see many Indians attempting risky illegal border crossing into the US and UK. Ghosh powerful tale encourages us to have more compassion for migrants and find responsible solution to address this complex issue. Gun Island brings the complex realistic of migration to life through compelling human stories, provoking greater understanding of this constant human movement in search of safety, dignity, and opportunity. Here is the references. Now you can ask me a question.
What is your opinion in Amitav Ghosh's central message or commentary on contemporary migration issues through the lens of this novel?
In my opinion, Ghosh's central message on on contemporary migration issue that novel itself highlights the reasons of that force people to leave their home, and also Ghosh so was a reader that different reason in the novel like natural calamities, not having enough money, disasters and cyclones, violence, etc. And uh, Ghosh wants to uh, Ghosh, Ghosh wants us to understand that migration is the something lots of people go through the go through to the find safe place and respect and better future for their life. And in the book we can see that uh, uh, criticizes things like climate change and calamities and colonialism also.
Can you draw parallels between the migration experiences depicted in the novel and real life migration patterns or crises happening today?
So in the experience of the characters who migrate in the novel can be compared to the real life situation of many migrants and refugee today. So, like in the novel, we can see the how Lubna Khala and her life shuttered because of the climate change and cyclone. People like her are people like her are being forced to leave their home, or we can say the leave the place where they are live live so many times because of the all these things, cyclone and calamities. They go through a dangerous journey and to reach a safe place. And when they arrive that place, they have to face many things like language barrier and cultural difference and some discrimination, and they have to uh, uh, fit uh, in the place they are moved because of this cyclone and all these things. And the sad feelings and difficult experience show us in the novel that things real migrants often go through the when they have leave their homes and uh, leave they behind. So that's it. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today is the last presentation season's first day of presentation, and my topic of today's presentation is Beyond Bestsellers: Unpacking Postmodern Element in Chetan Bhagat's works. So here is my academic information. So these are some points to ponder which I'm going to discuss in today's presentation. First is introduction. As we all know that Chetan Bhagat is emerged as a contemporary Indian author, and he has written many works, many novels, non-fiction works, and throughout his writing, he challenges convictions, notions of literature's purpose, and asserting that its role in the reflecting and critique of society. His work embodied key postmodern elements such as intertextuality, reader involvements, offering readers a fresh perspective and familiar with themes and experiences. So, what is postmodernism? First, we have to understand what is postmodernism. Postmodern literature is a form of literature which is marked both stylistically and ideologically So, postmodernism is a difficult term, a set of ideas, one that has only appeared as an area of theoretical study since the mid of 1980s. And postmodernism is hard to describe because it's a concept that appear to study contains art, architectures, music, films, literature, sociology, communication, fashions, and technologies. So it contains everything in one umbrella term. And it's hard to locate it temporary or traditionally because it's not clear exactly when postmodernism starts. So Chetan Bhagat is a postmodernist writer. Chetan Bhagat was born on 22nd April in 1974. He is a famous author, writer, and he's also a columnist. And in each of his works highlighted many concerns of youth in today's society. And he also writes about, like we can say, for youth. And his novels has Bollywoodish drama because he writes for youth, and today's time we all know that in today's time no one used to read novels or things, classic works. So he transforms from that to write about contemporary society with so he write about like motivation things and youth and college and everything, marriages and everything. So as a postmodernist in his works, he clearly highlights the success and failure of the young generation in present postmodern era. Today, many people have not liked for reading, as I mentioned. The novels on the coast may be the use of too hi-fi language by the writers when they produce a literary work. Bhagat's writings are very simple, and grammars that he used in his stories are very easy to understand. And he also writes a mixed language like Hindi, English, kind of thing. Chetan's style of writing is simple, lucid, and vivid, with graphics, description, and linear narrative. He has written many works till now, and according to this article, until that, he has written 6 novels, but till now he has written 7 or 8 novels. And recently he published another famous work, which is 11 Rules of Life. Postmodern aspects in Chetan Bhagat's works. So there are many postmodern aspects in his works like fragmentation, parody and satire, intertextuality, metafiction, temporal distortion, and magical realism. So I have selected 4 novels from his many works, and one of the 4 novels are 5 Point Someone, another one is Two States, another one is One Night at Call Center, and last one is Revolution 2020. So first is 5 Point Someone, What Not to Do at IIT. So it's a satirical portrayal of prestigious Indian Institute of Technology at Delhi, which set in 1990s. So this novel revolves around 3 characters who is studied in IIT, and their conflict, their personal lives, and another things. So this novel is depicted in a movie, or we can say adapted as a movie, which is Three Idiots. We all have watched. This both have the same plot, and in this 5 Point Someone, Chetan Bhagat incorporate modernist elements such as fragmentation, narrative style, parody, satire, academic culture, intertextual references, metafiction movements, temporal distortions, and hints of magical realism. These elements depict depth and complexity of the novel, engaging reader in a multi-faced exploration of IIT experience and broader themes of education and identity. So another famous novel of Chetan Bhagat is One Night at the Call Center. So it was published in 2005, and it has an Indian society and how working culture is there. Like it revolves around 6 employees who worked in call center at Gurugram, India, and it highlights the anxiety and insecurity of their middle class thing. And in this novel, we could find a postmodernist element as magical realism. And another thing is about satire and modernist thinking of generation and this kind of thing. And narratives are also important as a postmodernist element. Another novel is Two Steps, which is also adapted as a movie with the same name, and it depicts culture differences between characters from North India and South India. So, in this, the novel portrays the post-modernist idea of challenging tradition norms and seeking the alternative principle of composition. Additionally, it symbolizes addressing contemporary concerns such as multiculturalism and social integrity, advocating for a balanced approach to reconciling conflict values modern society. So it has conflicting between two modern societies and that perspective towards generation thinking and marriages and other things. Revolution 2020, Love, Corruption and Ambition. It was published in 2011 and it has a theme of love triangle, corruption and self-discovery. So this narrative of the narrative of this novel revolves around two friends, Gopal and Raghav, which who have ambition and passions. Both have same thing, and both affected with the same girl named Aarti. And this novel has the many postmodern element like journey of Gopal and narrative style of this novel and unemployment, corruption, violence, and it also satires on the contemporary society and privatization in education. This kind of things are there in novel. So there are many critics which criticize Chetan Bhagat's works as he write about today's society. So they say that readers and addressing significant society issue like casteism and corruption, works often faces criticism for cliche plots and characters. Like he, as I mentioned earlier as well, that he writes about Bollywoodish drama and things like that. So that's the thing. And Bhagat's novel often reflects his own experience, particularly in education setting like IIT Delhi. So he has also studied in IIT Delhi and kind of institute. So he can write better about these things. Through themes like marriages, dilemmas in One Indian Girl, and corruption in Revolution 2020, Bhagat attempts to portray the struggle and choices faces by middle class youth. Though opinion on his writing proves remain divided. So he writes about youth, as I mentioned that. So there are many critics who criticize his work because of that plots and characters. In conclusion, we can say that Chetan Bhagat's writes stories where characters make their own choices, unlike other older stories where they followed parents or bosses' sayings. And Bhagat believes the young people should think for themselves and not just do what they are told. So he says that if everyone allows listen to their parents, humanity wouldn't progress. Looking at Bhagat's book from a modern perspective, we see a big gap between generations because of technology. It's not about parents being wrong, but rather their advices fit the modern world, which is sometimes we need to think about carefully. He puts the reality hilariously and sarcastically, spellbinding the readers. His writing have picked up the best inherity of refining postmodernist literature by changing the perspective of everyone. So these are some references which I have used during my presentation. Now I am open for questions.
Drashti, what role do irony and
Can capture the sound.
Drashti, what role do irony and satire play in Bhagat's portrayal of a contemporary Indian society?
Okay, so as I also mentioned in my presentation that Chetan Bhagat write about a contemporary Indian society. So he have to use irony and satire and parody kind of things. So in his novel, 5 Point Someone, where he portrays principal, a professor, we can say, as ironically character because he am I audible, sir? Okay. So there was some network issue. Now I'm giving answer. So uh, Chetan Bhagat has portrayed Indian society as a he criticized Indian society in his novel 5 Point Someone. In that, he portrays one professor as an ironical character because that professor has power, and though he is supporting the cliche kind of education system where people are not allowed to think critically or creatively. So that's the way of he's portraying a character as irony or satire in his novels. Yeah, I hope you are satisfied with this answer.
Drashti, my question is, how does Bhagat challenge traditional narrative structure in his novels?
So Chetan Bhagat challenges traditional narrative through the multiculturalism, or we can say multiple narratives. He used in his novel two states where he used multi-purpose, or we can say multicultural aspects, like where one is from North India, one is from South India, and they are connecting with love and all kind of things. So he is using this kind of postmodernist element as a work in his work. That's why he challenges the traditional narrative where the linear, non-linear kind of things are there in narrative, and he used multi cultural things and multiple narrative. So yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am Gayatri Nimavat. On the very first day of our presentation, season 4, I am going to deal with the topic narrative technique in Revolution 2020. These are my personal informations. This is the table of content. First I will deal with introduction, then about author, then Girard Genet's narratology, then narrative technique in Revolution 2020, then conclusion and references. So first in literature, a distinct evolution in narrative technique can be observed between the 19th century and contemporary fiction. The 19th century favored narratives that centered on morality and characters with minimal internal exploration. In contrast, modern fiction delves into the psyche of characters, meticulous examining their inner thought and emotions. Any narrative as a technique of delineation has two overlapping aspects. One refer to content or the assemblage of material and the nature of the connection implied. The other is rhetorical. It is the mode of presenting the narrative to the reader or audience. So the art of narration pertains to two basic queries: what and how. In Chetan Bhagat's novel Revolution 2020, we witness this aspect at play. Bhagat utilized first person narration. His narrative choice significantly impact the reader's experience, shaping how we engage with the protagonist Gopal's journey. The themes of youth disillusionment, and societal corruption, and ultimately the message of hope that resonates throughout the story. About Chetan Bhagat, the author, he was born on 22nd April 1974. He is an Indian author, columnist, and screenwriter. Chetan Bhagat's novels are adapted into successful movies. Most of his views are focused on youth and issues based on national development, which occupies the most important part in the society. He also plays the role of motivational speaker, which wonderfully working out by grasping the minds of young generation with good deeds and thoughts. He is one of the most successful authors, and his novels awarded as best-selling novels. He quit his banking career in 2009 in order to bring changes in the society. He decided to lead his whole life as a writer. Chetan Bhagat has introduced some unique trends in the Indian English literature. So, when we are going to understand the narrative technique, first we have to understand the Girard Genet's narratology. He is a French literary scholar, and he tried to explain the narratology in his work. So first is order, that how the story is written, and we are understand this all these things with the reference of Revolution 2020. In Revolution 2020, there is the order that first protagonist is already rich person. When he narrates his life events, when the story is starting, we find that Gopal is very rich person, and in flashback to childhood, struggle to clear AIE and G. Life at Kota, poverty, father's ill health and death, nexus with MLA Shuklaji, then starting Ganga Tech college, then ups and downs in relationship with Aarti and Raghav. In this order, the entire story is progressing. Then frequency. The separation between an event and its narration allows several possibilities. First is the singular, then an event can occur once and be narrated once, that is known as singular. And an event can occur n times and be narrated once, that is iterative. Then an event can occur once and be narrated at times, that is repetitive. And then an event can occur n times and be narrated n times, that is multiple. This frequency order is given by Gerard Genet's. Then duration, we find two type of duration in this novel. That narrative time, Gopal narrates the entire story in one day to Chetan Bhagat, the author, and it is around 24 hours. Then discourse time is approximately from the age of 10 years to the age to 26 years of Gopal, 60 years of discourse time. Then the voice, where the narration is formed. There are two type of narration voice, that intradigestic, that inside the text, and extradigestic, that is outside of the text. Then is the narrator a character in the story? If the narrator is not a character in the story, that is known as heterodigestic, and the narrator is a character in the story, that is known as homodigestic. Then mood, distance, very near to the man. For example, Gopal, who suffered, struggle, and got successful. Then perspective, personal, one-sided, as the Gopal's perspective. Narrative technique used by Chetan Bhagat in Revolution 2020. In Revolution 2020, Chetan Bhagat employs a combination of techniques to create a relatable and engaging experience for the reader. The novel primarily relies on first-person narration from Gopal, the protagonist. This allows readers to directly experience his thoughts, frustrations, and humor fostering a connection with his perspective. Flashbacks woven into the narrative explore Gopal's past, shaping our understanding of his character and the disillusionment he feels toward the education system. Bhagat further enhances relatability through his simple conservational language. This makes the story accessible to young adults who can easily identify with Gopal's voice and the situations he encounters. The use of humor and irony adds a light touch to the narrative, allowing readers to connect with the character on a personal level despite the serious themes explored. These techniques working together create a story that feels authentic and captures the voice of a generation yearning for change. Chetan Bhagat has written his novel in the first person narration. He told the story through the characters of main protagonist. A passage from the novel tells his technique of using first person. When Gopal used the word I, or in so much time, we can understand the perspective of Chetan Bhagat. When he said, I quote, I wondered if I could give some ladus to drama queen Aarti as the compensation for the cake. I wanted to buy a chocolate cake and slam it on her desk. However, I didn't have money for that. My father didn't give me any pocket money, and he didn't have much money in his own pocket. We also find the device of using of memory. Bhagat has used memory as the device for recollection of past. He recovered the past events and incident through individual and communal memory. The characters reconstruct the past through telling, listening, and remembering. Speech is a powerful instrument for this purpose. Gopal at school used to take simple food in his tiffin as his mother dies when he attained the age of 4. He wishes to buy chocolate, but he can't as his father does not give him pocket money. He remembers his past memory when he says, my mother's illness has whipped out all his savings. She died two weeks after I turned 4. I don't remember much of her or her death. Baba did say he had to wear her dupatta and sleep next to me for a month. Bhagat has also used a storytelling technique in the novel. Aarti changes her decision of marrying with Raghav and wants to marry with Gopal. She writes scrapbook on Gopal's birthday in which she writes that once upon a time a naughty boy stole a good girl's birthday cake. The naughty boy, however, became the good girl's friend. He came for every birthday party of hers after that. Bhagat employs the similes, metaphor, hyperbole, symbols, and personification in the novel to enhance the story's imagery and impact. He used various kind of grammatical things in his novel. Gopal buys the 50 acres of land on the highway, and suddenly everyone wants to be his friend, especially Mr. Chetan. Gopal wonders why everyone is so nice now and figures there must be a catch. He starts his engineering college and lots of students from villages come to sign up. Bhagat describe how the students, especially the farmers' kids, pay their fees in big bags filled with cash they saved up for years. The whole way the college gets students is ironic because it shows how unfair the education system is. It's all about making money, not actually helping students. Even the way the college describe itself its brochure is funny and doesn't seem very honest. Through this situation or many situations from the novel, we understand the irony that Chetan Bhagat wants to use in his novel. Everything is to be manipulated in context of profit-taking policy. The ease of presentation is remarkable when Gopal reads out about the structure of Vinayak College. When he says, see, tuition 50,000, hostel 30,000, let's say 20,000 more for unless things. They will make you buy. So pay a lakh a year for 4 years. Average placement is 1.5 lakhs. Bhagat has used very less symbol in the novel. Bhagat has used the numerical 2020 in the name of the novel. Figure 2020 is the symbol of year when our country will be free from social evil like corruption, as Bhagat understands. Throughout the novel, Chetan Bhagat has given stress on the word corruption. It is suggestive. Raghav in the novel starts revolution by dismissing MLA Shukla and having hope of getting rid from corruption by the year 2020. Bhagat also has used many Indian words in the novel. These are poha, behen, shubh, jeez, rotis, and dal. Many instances can be cited to show Chetan Bhagat's skill of narration in the novel. He is a keen spectator of people. His sense of humor and presence of mind provides his description on novelty. Through these words or through this style, we can understand that Chetan Bhagat wants to show very Indianness in his novel. I have generated these two questions from AI tool Gemini, that if Revolution 2020 narrated by the perspective of Raghav, then it would be like, from Raghav's perspective, Revolution 2020 would likely be a story of disillusionment, witnessing the corruption first hand, and Gopal's descent into it would fuel his fight for reform, making him the idealistic counterpoint to Gopal's struggle. His narration might be more serious and hopeful, focusing on exposing corruption and his determination for a fair system, with flashback explaining his own academic drive. And if Revolution 2020 narrated with the perspective of Aarti, then Aarti's perspective in Revolution 2020 would likely focus on her dreams and frustration caught between societal expectations and her own desires. She might see Gopal's struggle with empathy, torn between her affection for him and Raghav's strong morals. The story could explore her navigation of limited options for girls, balancing study with societal pressure to marry and the internal conflict of choosing love or a secure future. These are the perspective of Raghav and Aarti, if the story is narrated by both of them or someone from them. So in conclusion, Chetan Bhagat's Revolution 2020 takes readers on a journey through the Indian education system with Gopal as our guide. Through his witty and relatable first-person narration, readers experience the pressure, frustration, and even humor of navigating this complex world. Bhagat's use of simple language and ironic situation makes the story accessible to a young adult audience. By the end, readers are left not only entertained but also pondering the question: is the current system truly preparing students for the future, or is a revolution truly necessary? These are the references. Now, if you have any question, then you can ask.
Gayatri, my question is, the novel employs flashback and flash forwards. How do these jumps in time contribute to the plot's development and the reader's engagement?
The narrative perspective of using flashbacks and flash forward here through this technique, Chetan Bhagat developed a plot, and as well he is able to engage the reader to read the story by the flashback and flash forward technique. He is able to use the suspense and mystery in his novel, and through this technique, readers are always getting connected with the character, and they are able to understand the entire life of the character, and they can feel the situation or the feeling of the character through the technique of flashbacks and flash forward, and readers are able to understand the entire situation and life of the character.
Gayatri, my question is that Chetan Bhagat utilized a framing with a first-person narrative. So, how does this technique impact the story and our understanding of characters, particularly Gopal?
So, framing device with a first-person narrator is through the lens of Gopal's perspective. Here, Chetan Bhagat used the Gopal as main character, and through his character, Chetan Bhagat is allowed to write on the perspective of a corrupt person. Gopal is a corrupt person. While reading the novel, we are not considering him as a hero, because the hero thinks he has not, or Raghav has that things, but Chetan Bhagat more wants to show the real situation with the lens of one corrupt person. That's why he used the first person. Maybe he can. This can be the reason that he used this narration with the lens of Gopal. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Katariya Ghanshyam, and today's my topic of presentation is the depiction of scavengers in the novel Ministry of Utmost Happiness. This is my personal information and table of content. In this presentation, I will discuss about the author and about the novel Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Scavengers depicted in the novel, the vulture, the crow, the dung beetle, and then conclusion. About the author Arundhati Roy. She was born in 1960 in Kerala, India, studied architecture and at the Delhi School of Architecture. She worked as a production designer and has written 2 screenplays. Her debut novel, The God of Small Things, won the Booker Prize for fiction in 1997. And it also have sold over 6 million copies worldwide and translated into 30 languages. She is a prominent author of non-fiction books and essays criticizing the Indian government and democracy in India. Her non-fiction works includes The Cost of Living, Power Politics, The Algebra of Infinite Justice, and Listening to Grasshoppers. She was awarded the Lennon Prize for Cultural Freedom in 2003. Her second novel, The Minister of Utmost Happiness, was published in 2017, and it was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize. The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. It is Roy's second novel, released in 2017, almost 2 decades after her debut in the novel genre in The God of Small Things in 1997. The novel explores life in India in aftermath of the partition through the lives of 2 central characters. First is Anjum, a transgender woman who finds refuge in a Delhi cemetery after tragedy. And second is Tillo, an architect who has a love affair with a Kashmiri separatist named Musa. The novel has a complex narrative structure with a large cast of secondary and tertiary characters. Major theme of the novel includes Hindu nationalism, Kashmiri separatism, and communal violence. Roy takes her reader on a libertine journey as a chaotic and lively as the streets of modern day Delhi themselves. It shines light on the shortcomings of national leadership in India and elsewhere. the depiction of scavengers. Through the novel, Roy depicts three scavengers in the novel. First is vultures, second is crows, and in the last passage there is a reference of dung beetle also. So the first one is the vulture. She depicts it as a custodian of the dead that have been wiped out. And she also gives the reason of why it is wiped out. She gives the reason of this uh, uh, this uh, uh, this uh, this cow aspirants and diclofenac, and she describes that as cattle turned into better dairy machines, as the city ate more ice cream, butterscotch, nutty buddy, and chocolate chips, and as it drank more mango milkshakes, vultures and neck began to drop as though they were tired and simply couldn't stay awake. So it was the cause by this diclofenac cow aspirants, which is the muscle relaxant for dairy cattles. But it after when they die, it also spread disease into this scavengers like vultures. So use of diclofenac. Diclofenac is a widely available veterinary drug in South Asia, where it is used to treat domestic livestock. Widespread use of diclofenac in South Asian cattle was linked to the death of millions of vultures that ate carcasses containing the drug, causing some population to decline by more than 99% since the 1990s. Explicit estimate of the proportion of the excess mortality required to cause the population decline that I attribute to diclofenac ranges between 71% and 100%. So it was the major cause of this decline of this population of the vultures. Given the diclofenac is widely used in Pakistan and India and is produced and distributed by many companies, it may take a considerable time to remove it from the food supply of vultures. Even if it is banned, till it will be very troublesome to remove entirely, and it will still create this problem. Even if it is not in the supply. Three species of vultures endemic to South Asia are in grave danger of extinction and are now listed as critically endangered. Population of oriental whiteback, and then long-billed, and the last one is slender-billed vultures have declined more than 95% since the early 1990s, and which is caused by this diclofenac. Then second one is the crow. So this was depicted as a crow hung frozen in midair, a withered Christ hanging askew on an invisible cross. So it was more horrific imagery produced by Roy, and it was more frightening imaginary through she depicts this hanging crow midway in the air, but then she tells what is the reason behind this. Then what had happened was not a mystery. The crow's wing feathers had snagged mid-flight on an invisible kite string. The string, a new Chinese brand that had suddenly flooded the market, was made of tough, transparent plastics coated with ground glass. Independence Day kite warriors use it to cut each other's strings and bring each other's kites down. So this was the reason behind this horrific imaginary of crow hung frozen in the midair. So if we see this imagery with the reality, then Wildlife Trust of India in the article "Kite Flying Turns Death Trap for Birds" states that hundreds of birds die every year, including some rare species during the January kite flying season in western Gujarat state, making it one of the biggest man-made disaster in India. Sohan Mukherjee of Animal Health Foundation, also associated with Wildlife Trust of India, he states that the use of razor-sharp Chinese nylon threads and string coated with powdered glass led to whole wings of birds being cut off. The Wildlife Trust of India says that vultures, kites, pigeons, dove, eagles, crow, sarus, cranes, and parakeets were among those injured by kite flying. Some of these birds are critically endangered criteria. So this is also a very concerning issue that is depicted with this the use of imaginary of crow. The third one, the dung beetle. So she depicts this as Guinkyo, the dung beetle. He was wide awake and on duty, lying on his back with his legs in the air to save the world in case the heaven has fallen. So she also gives this one of the characteristic of dung beetle with that they also travel through the night. Prominent in the sky but not visible to humans is the pattern of a polarized skylight formed around both the sun and the moon. Dung beetles are at present the only animal group known to use the much dimmer polarization pattern formed around the moon as a compass cue for maintaining travel direction. Dung beetles transport their dung balls along straight paths under a starlit sky but lose this ability under overcast conditions. In a planetarium, the beetles orient equally well when rolling under a full starlit sky as when only the Milky Way is present. The dung beetle delivers important ecosystem service such as nutrient cycling, waste removal, seed dispersal, and by removing dung from the surface, the flies and parasites that breed in dung are not prominent. Borrowing, aerating, and mixing the soil increases its nutrient content as well as improves the water holding capacity of the soil. This may be beneficial for agriculture too. So this is the importance of this tiny creature. If it were not for disease, stench, and filth, but we regard them with disgust, turning up our noses at them and their work. So we see them as disgusting creatures, but they are the one who are helping us to survive in on this earth and do lots of hard work just to protect the nature. Ornithologists kept raising the alarm, yet very little attention was paid till the number of vultures became alarmingly low. The struggle to protect them is turning out to be a stupendous task. Now the bugle for another species has been sounded. This time by the etymologists for dung beetles. Like the vultures, the dung beetles are scavengers, coprophagous insects that feed on the fish of animals. So this is also the species that is now coming in the area of danger through the time. In 2005 paper, the scientist I.C. Mittal raised this issue. Monitoring the diversity and conservation status of dung beetles is important because they play a critical role in recycling the organic matter in nature, but also because they are on decline now. In 2011, Simi Venugopal from Loyola College, Chennai, studied the diversity and community structure of the dung beetles in the semi-urban agriculture lands of the Malabar coast and found a decrease in diversity and change in their community status. A year later, Sabu K. Thomas, an associate professor from St. Joseph's College, Calicut, and his students recorded species loss in 5 genera of dung beetles in the moist slopes of the western Ghats in the South India. So these species of beetles are also in now have become endangered species, and they are need the concern uh, of people, as they are mainly play the role of doing the hard work for the survival of the humans. To conclude the presentation, I would like to go back to the novel's point, where through the depiction of scavengers like vultures, crow, and dung beetles, Arundhati Roy presents her concerns of these endangered species and try to wove the contemporary issues in her novel through this symbolism and imagery of these scavengers. Also, she wove this perfectly with her theme of the novel, as Chakrabarti tried to connect by saying that, like the vultures who died of diclofenac poisoning, good birds, old friends, scavengers, them vultures dying of cow aspirants consumption in the preface. In the same way, the guardians of our memory, the writers, the artists, the scribes, the journalists, and the painters, the singers, the dancer, and the musician, they are dropping dead from the sky. So she relates this the symbol of vulture with all this type of intellectual persons and artists, that they are also losing their focus, or they are now not able to hold their neck straight, and they are dropping dead also. So she is trying to connect the symbol of vulture with all these intellectual individuals. Um, these lines, very quickly a small crowd of people gather to watch the proceedings, to frighten themselves to death, to advise each other about the occult significance of frozen crows, and to discuss the exact nature of the horrors that this ill omen, this macabre curse would visit upon imagery of crows. She also depicts the nature and mentality of people. She says them as the onlookers and the unscientific and irrational crowd. So through this, she tries to tell the mentality of people, as they don't think in a logical and scientific manner, but they always try to connect this type of incident with ill omen and something that is bad or cursed, but they never try to look on things with a more logical and scientific way. Then this third of dung beetle. Royce writes in her novel that he was wide awake and on duty, lying on his back with his legs in the air to save the world. But even he knew that things will turn out all right in the end. So, if in my personal opinion, I try to connect this with all the people who are manual laborers or the common people who do the hard work in the day and try to do the dreaming of a better future that will be ahead. So this way, she is giving this symbol of hope through the dung beetles. So this way, all these three creatures, these scavengers, are depicted in this novel. This is my references, and now you can ask me questions.
Ghanshyam, my question is that how does the author use the character of UTION, the dumb bitter, to convey a sense of hope and realization in the novel, like as you mentioned earlier in your presentation?
Here Arundhati Roy have given this Gohikyo with her lines that she is very hope. She through the Gohikyo, the dung beetles, she is telling that there will be the future ahead, as Anjum is not concerned about the morning or the future. The main character of Anjum is very hopeful, as well as she is trying to see this hope in the Guhikyo as well. That way there will be a future ahead and everything will be all right at the end of the day. That's how Roy tried to give or convey this hope and resilience in the novel at the end point.
Ghanshyam, how does the author use the decline of vulture populations due to the diclofenac poisoning as a symbolic representation?
This decline of vulture population due to diclofenac poisoning. So it all starts with the production of milk. That the dairy industry or the milk production needed to increase, and that's why they came up with this type of medicine and drugs that will increase the milk production. But it will be in the long run, it will be also very danger for the ecosystem, as when the cattle dies, the vulture will eat the remains, and they will get poisoned by these drugs, because through the years, through the milk production, throughout the years from these cattle, they have poisoned completely their body and this body structure, and when they will eat the remains, they will get poisoned, and throughout time they will lose the ability to be focused, and their muscles will also lose the capacity of remaining straight, and that's how they also die. So in the symbolic manner, Roy tries to convey that the custodians of death and the old friends are dying. So that way, as the Chakrabarti is trying to convey that this is the symbolic representation of the individuals or the intellectual peoples who are also losing their grip from the knowledge and contemporariness. They are not able to convey their thoughts persistently the way they were doing it before. So as the time is going, they are also losing their ability to speak or convey their thoughts. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Gopi Dervaliya, and on the first day of semester 4 presentation of a contemporary English literature, in which my topic is Gun Island as a climate fiction. So, today we will be exploring the Amitav Ghosh captivating novel Gun Island through the lens of climate fiction, also known as sci-fi. These are my personal informations. In my presentation, I will dealing with these topics. Okay, as Bhavyata mentioned about Amitav Ghosh in her presentation, so let's move to the next slides. Okay, about the novel Gun Island. So, Dean, a rare book dealer living in New York, becomes fascinated by the Bengali folktale of the gun merchant. This fascination leads him to visit the Sundarbans, a mangrove forest in India facing environmental threats. The novel portrays the devastating effects of climate change on the Sundarbans, including rising sea levels and cyclones. Villages are flooded, livelihoods are threatened, and the fragility of the ecosystem is highlighted. Gun Island weaves together Dean's contemporary story with the ancient folktale of the gun merchant who is chased by the snake goddess Mansadevi for disrespecting nature. This creates a dialogue between past and present and raises these questions about humanity's relationship with the environment. The novel explores the theme of climate migration as characters like Tipu and Rafi are forced to leave their homes in the Sundarbans due to rising sea levels. Their struggles highlight the human cost of climate change and the need for solutions. Dean's journey leads him to question his own identity and place in the world. He grapples with feelings of dispossession as he confronts the realities of climate change and displacement. Despite the bleak environmental backdrop, Gun Island also offers glimpses of hope, the resilience of the Sundarbans ecosystem, and the strength of the human spirit are depicted, suggesting the possibility of adaptation and change. What is climate fiction? So, climate fiction, often abbreviated as cli-fi, is a genre of literature that explores the complex and far-reaching effects of climate change on society and the environment through fictional narratives. In cli-fi literature, authors use storytelling techniques to imagine the consequences of environmental degradation, extreme weather events, and other manifestations of global warming. Through the lens of fiction, Cli-Fi seeks to raise awareness, provoke thoughts, and inspire action on pressing environmental issues. The rise of Cli-Fi literature can be traced to the growing recognition of climate change as one of the most urgent challenges facing humanity in the 21st century. As scientific evidence of climate change has become increasingly undeniable, authors and readers alike have turned to fiction as a means of grappling with the social, political, and ethical implications of environmental crisis. In recent years, Cli-Fi has gained prominence as a distinct genre within the broader category of eco-literature. Authors from diverse backgrounds and literary traditions have contributed to the Cli-Fi canon, producing works that range from dystopian visions of a climate revenge future to more hopeful narratives of resilience and adaptation. Climate change in Gun Island. As we know that Amitav Ghosh writing on climate change themes, and this novel depicts the degradation of the Sundarbans mangrove forest, emphasizing the impact of climate change on fragile ecosystems. Ghosh vividly portrays scenes of deforestation, loss of biodiversity, and rising sea levels, highlighting the destructive effects of human activity on the environment. Ghosh incorporates descriptions of extreme weather events such as cyclone and floods that devastate coastal communities in the Sundarbans. These events serve as the powerful symbols of the unpredictable and increasingly severe consequences of climate change. Through the character of Pia Roy, a marine biologist studying the Sundarbans, the novel provides scientific insights into the ecological changes wrought by climate change. Pia's research underscores the urgency of addressing climate-related challenges and highlights the interdisciplinary nature of efforts to understand and mitigate the impact of global warming. Character analysis and climate change. So Amitav Ghosh in this novel throughout many characters, many key characters to describe this climate change theme. First is Din Datta. Din's journey throughout the novel serves as a transformative awakening to the interconnectedness of human actions and environmental consequences. At the beginning of the novel, Din is primarily focused on his career and personal pursuits, seemingly disconnectedness from broader environmental issues. As he becomes entangled in the legend of Bonduki Sadgar and witnesses first-hand the environmental degradation in the Sundarbans, Dean's perspective begins to shift. Through encounters with characters like Pia and Pia Roy, a marine biologist studying climate change, and Chinta, a local guide, Dean gains a deeper understanding of the ecological challenges facing the region. Dean's journey leads him to recognize the profound impact of climate change on both natural ecosystems and human communities, prompting him to confront his own complicity and take actions to address environmental issues. Then Pia Roy is a marine biologist and studying the impact of climate change on the Sundarbans. Pia serves as a voice of scientific insight and urgency. She actively confronts the reality of climate change and works to raise awareness about its ecological consequences. Then Chinta represents the local perspective on climate change, experiencing firsthand the displacement and loss caused by rising sea levels and environmental degradation. Despite the challenges the faces, Chinta remains resilient and resourceful, embodying the adaptability necessary for survival in a changing environment. Narrative structure and climate change. So Ghosh employs a multi-layer narrative structure that intertwines the protagonist's personal journey with broader themes of environmental degradation and cultural heritage. Throughout the novel, Ghosh blurs the boundaries between fact and fiction, incorporating elements of mythology, folklore, and historical events into the narrative. Ghosh employs symbolism and allegory to convey deeper messages about climate change and humanity's place in the natural order. Ghosh uses storytelling and mythology to explore humanity's deep-seated relationship with nature and the ways in which cultural narratives shapes our perceptions of the environment. Through the retelling of legends and myths, Ghosh emphasizes the importance of oral tradition and collective memory in shaping cultural attitude towards the environment. Amitav Ghosh represents mythical figures such as Mansa Devi and Bonduki Sadgar to reflect contemporary environmental concerns. Migration and displacement in the novel. The novel depicts the characters such as Giacinta and her family who are forced to leave their homes in the Sundarbans due to rising sea levels and environmental degradation. Ghosh vividly portrays the challenges faced by these climate migrants as they grapple with the loss of their land, livelihood, and cultural heritage. Dean encounters migrants like Tiku and Rafi during his journey, providing first-hand glimpse into the realities of displacement and uncertainty about the future. These encounters serve to humanize the issue of climate migration, shedding light on the stories of individuals who are directly affected by environmental changes. Migration serves as a powerful symbol of the broader themes of change and adaptation explored in the novel. Through the motif of migration, Ghosh underscores the interconnectedness of human experiences and the ways in which individuals are shaped by their environments. By depicting the experiences of climate migrations in the novel, Amitav Ghosh draws attention to the global implications of climate-induced displacement. The novel highlights the interconnectedness of environmental issues across border and underscores the need for environmental cooperation in addressing the root causes of migration and displacement. So, can literature save the planet? So, Amitav Ghosh describes the theme of climate change and deforestation. So, he also describes that literature has the ability to raise awareness about the environmental issues by bringing them to forefront of public consciousness. Through compelling narratives, vivid descriptions, and thought-provoking themes, literature can educate readers about the complexities of environmental degradation, climate change, and biodiversity loss. Literature has the power to inspire empathy towards the natural world and the diverse communities affected by environmental crisis. By presenting characters, settings, and scenarios that resonate with readers on a personal and emotional level, literature can foster a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of human and non-human life and the importance of environmental stewardship. Literature can serve as a catalyst for dialogue, debate, and collective action on environmental issues through the book, discussions, classroom readings, and public forums. Literature can spark conversation about the root causes of environmental problems, potential solution, and the role that individuals and communities can play in effecting challenge. To conclude, the novel Gone Island by Amitav Ghosh serves as a powerful example of climate fiction, literature that skillfully intertwines storytelling with urgent environmental concerns. Through its vivid narrative, rich characterizations, and thought-provoking themes, the novel offers readers a compelling exploration of the interconnectedness of human actions and environmental consequences. The novel deals into the impact of climate change on both natural ecosystems and human communities, highlighting the urgency of addressing environmental challenges in today's world. reflecting on the significance of climate fiction literature in addressing urgent environmental concerns. Gun Island exemplifies the potential of literature to raise awareness, inspire actions, and foster empathy toward environmental issues. These are my references. Now you can ask me questions.
Gopi, according to you, can literature save the planet? What is your opinion?
Okay. So, according to me, powerful stories can illuminate the consequences of uh, uh, powerful stories can illuminate the consequences of the relationship of our relationship with the environment and also environmental issues. So literature can provide to our literature can also deals with the theme of climate change and then we can seeing the literature is provide some specific things like climate change and environmental degradation. So literature can challenges our assumptions to reconsidering the environment by seeing the world through the different ways, and we might be inspired to take action. So according to me, if climate fiction or literature written more and read more, so absolutely the literature can save our planet.
Okay, my question is, as the novel is especially focusing on the region of Sundarbans, it is mainly focusing on that part of the country. Do you think that climate fiction is more effective when it is telling the localized and region-based stories, or it will be more effective if it presents the global narrative perspective?
Okay, so climate fiction can be effective with the whether it is focuses on localized stories or global narratives. When climate fiction focus on localized stories, so by by the sto- lo- by the story localized specific localized region and like Sundarbans. So in Amitav Ghosh Gun Island, so readers can better understand of the real life consequences of communities and ecosystems in those areas. And on the other hand, global climate fictions describes on global narratives. So global narratives provides broader perspectives, and through this broader perspective, global narratives provides the environmental issues. So we can say that climate fiction is more effective when it focuses on localized stories and global warming. Thank you.
Am I visible and audible? A very good noon to you all. On the very first day of presentation season semester 4, I'm going to present about Arundhati Roy's novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. As we all know that many people avoid the discussions about politics because it can obviously lead to arguments and debates, but Arundhati Roy is one such contemporary writer who always writes about politics in most of her works. She explores the political themes in the works in her fiction as well as non-fiction works. So her second work of fiction, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, is clearly shown her interest in showing the political environments. So based on that, my today's topic for presentation in the paper of contemporary English literatures is exploring major political events with the reference of Arundhati Roy's novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. These are my academic details, and this is the table of contents. Beginning with the introduction of Arundhati Roy, as Anjali and Ghanshyam already mentioned in their presentation, but so I'm not going deep into it, but let us have a brief overview of Arundhati Roy. That born as Susanna Arundhati Roy in Bengal on November 24, 1961, and she is raised and educated in Kerala, and she is an author and political activist for human rights and environmental causes. In the year 1997, her debut novel titled The God of Small Things is published to great controversy, and for that she is charged with undermining public morality. But at the same time, her debut novel also wins the Booker Prize. Arundhati Roy also received many other awards for her distinguished writing. In the year 2007, she announces the beginning work on a second novel, which is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, and also begins to write and publish a long series of non-fiction and essays. The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. The title, the author is Arundhati Roy. It is a second novel and published in the year 2017. And The Ministry of Utmost Happiness is the one such novel that is not focuses only one particular incident and only one character, but Arundhati Roy wants to show the reader that how it is a multi-layered story, because there are so many characters in the novel, and through this diverse range of characters, Arundhati Roy wants to show that how the poor people are marginalized in a globalized world. So that is how this novel is a multi-layered story, and that is why it is a complex one. The Ministry of Utmost Happiness is less focused on the personal and the private than on the vast, violent, circling, driving, ridiculous, insane, unfeasible public turmoil of a nation. And this novel is also shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2017. In this novel, Arundhati Roy uses a diverse range of characters. At a very first glance, if we read the novel, it is very much difficult to understand. From transgender people to tribals, and from Dalits, untouchables to religious minorities, they all make special appearances in this novel. Through many characters and with numerous stories that constantly intersect, Roy consistently writes through the lens of the poor, challenging the myth of a great country that is said to have benefited from neoliberalism. All these narratives woven together in fiction unmask the real face of India, where the dominant culture has frequently othered powerless sections of the society. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, referred to as Gujarat Ka Lalla in this book, and this tendency has grown. So that is how we can understand that how Arundhati Roy reveals a true picture of society in her present novel. Dr. Tanu Kashyap's article, she mentions that the Ministry of Utmost Happiness also portrays a world where people suffers at the hands of the authority, and this is the burning issue of Kashmir insurgency, where violence and ferocity has become day-to-day problem. Exploring the political insights from the novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness 2070, Roy makes an attempt to bring all the castaways of the subcontinent under one roof. The novel clearly highlights her personal politics stance based on the very idea of personal is political. Arundhati Roy has tried to cover every possible theme from queer politics to Gujarat's 2002 riots, from violent casteism to neoliberalism, from emergency to the issue of Narmada Bachao Andolan, and also what not. Roy took charge to unmask the political and social fault lines of the Indian subcontinent. She conjures the story, which is brutal but very similar to the reality. As I also mentioned that clearly this novel depicts the true picture of the great country India, and Arundhati Roy deconstructs that particular myth and reveals the true picture of society. The novel is dedicated to the unconsoled and divided amongst 12 chapters. In one of the articles, titled Where Margin Insects, it is mentioned in that article that the novel is a mixture of literary and political things. It encapsulates the rapidly transforming face of Indian democracy with the rise of right-wing political ideology, the degenerating condition of the marginalized groups of people, the atrocities that are rampant in Kashmir Valley. So that is how Arundhati Roy depicts that how marginalization happened in a globalized country or world. Through perspective portrayals of notable Indian politicians like the poet Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the trapped rabbit Manmohan Singh, the Gandhian Anna Hazare, Mr. Agrawal Arvind Kejriwal, and Gujarat ka Lalla Narendra Modi. Arundhati Roy masterfully demonstrates the twisting of the narrative with the political realm and the theatrically of Indian politics over the past 3 decades. Roy magnifies her voice against various societal and political injustice dominant in India as well as in Kashmir. Through a diverse cast of characters, she articulates her concern for the instabilities within Indian politics, emphasizing the dilemma of minorities, the subjugated, and also the subalterns. She skillfully directs the socio-political borderlands, documenting personal sufferings and shedding light on the harsh political realities in India and Kashmir. And it harshly portrays the disillusionment with politicians and the government's unfulfilled promises, revealing a true picture of society. In my opinion, generally what happened that when any of the political events happen, we as a people might forget that that event happened before so long time. But Arundhati Roy tries to show that all these political events, how that events had a large impact, and it shows the personal sufferings also. I have tried to cover some of the major political events, not all the political events that Arundhati Roy mentioned in the novel, but try to cover some of the major political events that Arundhati Roy mentions in her novel. First one is Bhopal gas tragedy. Arundhati Roy in her novel mentions about the sufferers of one of the biggest tragedies that have occurred in India. On the night of 2nd December 1984, a gas leak incident occurred in Union Carbide India Limited, situated in Bhopal. In this novel, Arundhati Roy has given voice to those who have been wounded, died, and those who are still suffering due to the aftermath of Bhopal gas tragedy. Anjum meets the group of 50 representatives protesting at Jantar Mantar and demanding for justice in this case. When we read the novel, there comes the episode of Jantar Mantar where Anjum met. There were so many protests going on at Jantar Mantar, and in that there are a group of people who are demanding justice for this case, which is about the Bhopal gas tragedy. Second one is the emergency of 1975. The first allusion we find in the novel is about the emergency that was imposed upon the country by Indira Gandhi and then Prime Minister of India. The emergency led to political and civil unrest in the country. Public gatherings and meetings were restricted. The police had the right to search homes without a warrant and could arrest people without charges. The situation during the emergency has been outlined by the Roy in the novel as civil rights had been suspended, newspapers were censored, and in the name of population control, thousands of men, mostly Muslim, were herded into camps and forcibly sterilized. The prisons were full. So that is how Arundhati Roy also depicts the political events of the emergency of 1975, which also had a great impact on the people and how marginalized people suffered due to that. Then Gujarat riots. The aftermath of the Godhra incident was a 3-day intercommunal riot in Gujarat between Hindu and Muslims. Arundhati Roy has efficiently situated two characters from the novel, which are Anjum and Zakir Mia, in the riots. Roy, delineating the situation during the riot in Ahmedabad, writes that Muslims in Ahmedabad were attacked by a mob who were armed with swords and tridents and wore saffron headbands. The atrocities in Ahmedabad was not only limited to the Muslims, but also to their religious places. Many Hindus also lost their lives in the riots, but are unspoken of. So that is how, while reading the novel, we came to know that this particular event of Gujarat riots were depicted through the character of Anjum and Zakir Mia, and in which Zakir Mia was killed and Anjum was spared because he was the Hijra, and that is how this particular incident or event, political event, had a large impact on the mind of Anjum, that he completely changed his and he behaved as a boy. And last one is anti-corruption movement of 2011. Kisan Baburao Hazare, popularly known as Anna Hazare, started an anti-corruption movement at Jantar Mantar with a hunger strike. The movement gets nationwide publicity. The tubby old in this novel, Arundhati Roy has written in the way that the tubby old Gandhian former soldier turned village social worker. In the novel, it is an allusion to Anna Hazare, the curator of India Against Corruption movement. The picture of Anna Hazare's past has been outlined in the novel as, in his interviews, he smiled his gummy parrots. Baby smiled and describes the joys of his simple celibate life in his room that was attached to the village temple, and explained how the Gandhian practice of Rati Sadhana had helped him to keep his strength during his fast. Here, when Anna Hazare was on hunger strike at Jantar Mantar, he was not alone. You can see in the picture that Arvind Kejriwal and Kiran Bedi was also with him at that anti-corruption movement. So that is how Arundhati Roy also referred to this particular episode. Conclusion. To conclude, this novel is a political novel which questions the socio-political situation in India. Keeping Anjum at the center of various narratives in the novel, she has emphasized with the sufferer of numerous incidents that happened in India. Through this novel, she has also implicitly criticized the political atmosphere of India and has shown political incidents and people in the present novel to serve her purpose. So, by referring to this many political events, we can understand that how Arundhati Roy clearly shows his interest in the politics and depicts the true picture of society towards the readers. These are my references, and now I am open for questions.
Hetal, my question is that the novel seems critical of the state of Indian democracy. What aspects of the political system does Arundhati Roy target, and how do the characters' experiences reflect a sense of disillusionment?
Yes. So Arundhati Roy has criticized the Indian democracy as well as the Indian politicians, but Arundhati Roy is not directly criticized all these things in her novel. As while I was referring the articles, in that also it is mentioned that political overtones and illusions. So that is how it is not like that even Arundhati Roy also knows that if she will clearly write about all these things in the novel, then she have to face many problems. So that is how she is suggesting these things, that how we have to criticize the power, the Indian politicians, and the Indian democracy. So that is how she connects all the episodes which happened. For example, few I have mentioned in my novel, that the incident of Gujarat riots, Kashmir in emergency of 1975, Una violence. So that is how, and in every political events, she also mentions that one particular incident. For example, in the political event of Una lynching case, she refers the character of Dayajan, that how his father killed. So that is how we can say that all these aspects of political system Arundhati Roy target, and how it is connected with the character's disillusionment.
Hetal, my question is, as the novel tries to cover all the possible themes and events into it, do you think it compromises with structure and reader engagement?
Okay, so in my opinion, as there are very few contemporary writers or any writers that who writes about such political things and suggesting about the Indian democracy and Indian politicians, but Arundhati Roy do these things in her works, but as per my opinion, it is upon the reader that what he or she likes to read. Even if by reading Arundhati Roy, someone's sentiments may get hurt, that how someone can write this, that how someone can refer Narendra Modi as Gujarat Kalanda, then it becomes problematic. So according to me, it majorly depends upon the reader, that how he or she perceives the thing that is depicted by the writer in his or her works. Thank you, everyone.
Am I audible, sir? Hello, everyone. On the first day of our semester 4 presentation, I'm going to deal with the topic ecofeminism in the myth of Mansa Devi in Amitav Ghosh, Gun Island. This is my academic information. These are some points which I'm going to deal in my presentation. First, author's introduction. Amitav Ghosh was born in 1956, Kolkata, and grew up in India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. He studied in Delhi, Oxford, and Alexandria, and is the author of The Circle of Reason, The Shadow Lines, and An Antique Land, Dancing in Cambodia, the Calcutta Chromosome, The Glass Palace, The Hungry Tide, and The Ibis Trilogy, consisting of Sea of Poppings, A River of Smoke, and Flood of Fire. His most recent book, The Great Reset, Climate Change and the Unthinkable, a work of non-fiction, appeared in 2016. In 2007, he was awarded the Padma Shri. In 2010, he was a joint winner along with Margaret Atwood of a Dan David Prize. In 2011, he was awarded the Grand Prix of the Blue Metropolis Festival in Montreal. In 2018, the Gnanpith Award, India's highest literary honor, was conferred on Amitav Ghosh. He was the first English language writer to receive the award. Amitav Ghosh was awarded the Erasmus Prize in 2024. About the novel from original text, Amitav Ghosh, Gun Island is a story which inspired from mythical story of Mansa Devi. And in this novel, Amitav Ghosh tells the story of Din, who is a rare book seller, and he undertakes his journey. In that journey, he faces many troubles regarding his past as well as climate change. On a visit to his birthplace, Kolkata, Brooklyn, best dealer in a rare books finds his life becoming entangled with an ancient legend about the goddess of Muslim Mansa Devi. While visiting the temple, deep within the vast mangrove forest of Bengal, he was disturbing encounter with the most feared and revered of Indian snakes, king cobra. This is followed by a series of increasingly uncanny episodes that seem to dissolve the borders of the human and non-human. People with a diverse cast of characters and set in places that ranges from the Sundarbans to Los Angeles and Venice. This is a story about a world in which creatures and beings of every kind have been torn loose from their accused homes by the catastrophic process of displacement that are now unfolding across the earth at and ever increasing place. It is the story about a man whose faith in the world is restored by two remarkable women. First, we have to understand what is eco-criticism. The eco-criticism is the movement which connect ecology and feminism. Eco-criticism emerged as a literary movement during the early 1970s. Eco-criticism refers to feminist theory and activism informed by ecology. Eco-criticism, ecofeminism is a concern with connection between the domination of woman and the domination of nature. Rosemary Redford Ruther, who is an ecologist, theologian, features the interplay of feminism and ecology in her definition of ecofeminism. She states that ecofeminism brings together those two exploration of ecology and feminism in their full or deep forms, and explore how male domination of woman and domination of nature are interconnected, both in cultural ideology and in social construction. On other side, the other ecofeminist, Janice Buckland, she sees ecofeminism as a logical conclusion of feminism that theorizes the interrelation among self, society, and nature. Ecofeminism in the myth of Mansa Devi in Gun Island. In Gun Island, Amitav Ghosh inspired the myth of Mansa Devi. In that myth, the man run away because he fear of Mansa Devi, Mansa Devi is the in that myth, Mansa Devi is a symbol of power and feminism. Amitav Ghosh's last novel, Gun Island, is a modern day parable woven around the legend of the snake goddess Mansa. It is a story of travel and migration last with myth and folk tales, and depicts the crisis of climate change. In that myth, the people try to find the mythical place, and and sea animals are suffering from climate change and capitalism. In the legend, Mansa Devi represents the natural world or ecological concern. Being a goddess, she is also the embodiment of Mother Nature. So, the destruction of natural resources by human beings with profit-making motives are against the interest of the goddess. Like the original myth of Chand Sodagar, the gun merchant, thought himself rich and clever enough not to defer to the goddess of snakes. To establish her rule, Monosha Devi, which is the another name of Mansa Devi, needed the homage of both humans and animals. She had to plead casual and pursued him to let him do her bidding. In order to run away from the persecution of the goddess Mansa Devi, patron of snakes and all venomous creatures, he had to travel across lands and oceans and encounter endless troubles. Amitav Ghosh reinforced the myth of Mansa Devi through the shrines architecture built in the 17th century, around the same period as the Little Ice Age. He traces the path of the merchant in hot pursuit through its symbols of friezes and panels. The physical appearance of the king cobra established the connection between the myth and belief systems. The king cobra loves Ding but does not attack him, as if in acknowledgement of his unthreatening intervention into its domain. But it attacks Tipu as it feels threatened. Tipu pays a price for his pride and insensibility. Rafi grandfather noted in the Gun Island, if a cobra puts something in you, you can never be rid of it. In other words, once nature is harmed, there is no reversing it. Her bleeding presence will forever haunt. In Tipu, Mansa Devi has now got a medium where she can make her presence felt, reminding man of the folly of his actions and their irreversible consequences. The role of Mansa Devi as an eco-feminist protector and avenger gets emphasized here. Here is the myth of Mansa Devi emphasized, where the Dean who travel his birthplace Sundarban, where he encountered with where he encountered with the snake king cobra. That snake does not harm him, but he harmed Tipu because snake feels threatened in front of Tipu. The myth of Mansa Devi is an ecofeminist challenge against the corporate patriarchal system. Then realize the tender nature of the pursuit, where when he sees it, then states that from the perspective of the goddess herself, and then pursuit no longer seemed to be a story of an almost incomprehensible vindictiveness, but something more fraught and even tender, a search driven by fear and desperation. The power of myth is doubly confirmed where Tipu and Pia from the impending beaching of dolphin in the Sundarbans, bringing the species to near extinction. All this is mysteriously connected with the movement of gun merchant. The catastrophe which ensues, Sinta argues has rational explanation in global warming, challenging habits, increasing amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and other greenhouse gases too. Here I compare Mansa Devi and Black Madonna. Belief, faith, customs, and permanent universal. Just as the rural folk revered Mansa Devi as their protector, the previous Venetian also believed in Black Madonna. During the pandemic in Europe, when Qatar of the city's population perished and thousands of the people died in no time. The little LA named Nova remained unaffected as a little girl living on the island, painted Black Madonna and hung in the picture at the entrance. The little girl believed that Madonna would protect people and plague would not enter their part of the city. Her trust in Madonna won over the horrible realities of the pandemic. Madonna protected the people who trusted her, just like a goddess Madonna, who also saved her children during the natural calamity. Like goddess Mansa, Madonna also acts as a mediator. Both of the deities from two different cultures stands between the people and the earth with their blessing and furies. Interesting enough is the fact that the image of Black Madonna of last Lord carved in the Byzantine style evoke connection of the SM or the Minon goddess of snakes. Uh, uh, in this way, goddess Mansa and Madonna has their myth have some reality, some similarities. Deconstructed myth of Mansa Devi, the myth that steers the narrative of Gun Island, is based on the popular folk legend and pertain to the wrath of Mansa Devi. Ghosh uses history as a way to develop the mythical narratives and exploratory journey of protagonist Dil. There are two important components of natural force: wind and the most powerful and dangerous species snake. Dean states that I learned that massive wildfire had been raging around Los Angeles for several days. Thousands of across of acres of land had been uh, incinerated, and tens of thousands people had been moved to safety. There is a myth that Mansa Devi sends scorching winds for a gun merchant and captain, and the dry wind burns their houses. There is another reconstruction of mythical development that Devi burns their houses, which is very fantastical and fictional aspect. Actually, this is not the true. Climate change is the responsible for dryness and massive fire. Those dried seasons increase moisture strains in vegetation and therefore have caused forest more susceptible to serve fire. The myth blames that the unfortunate traveler is the cause of fire. It is reconstructed here that not Mansadev but climate change is the main reason for all those destruction. Conclusion. Ghosh present the cult of Mansa, who survive as a fighting spirit and commanding authority of feminine spirit and energy. She is the relentless ecofeminist who pursues the merchant tirelessly and clearest him out of any corner of the globe. He chooses to hide from her wrath. Mansa's power has sharp, vindictive edge. Her proves subject patriarchal concern, and she brings the ecofeminism strength of courage and compassion of patience and endurance of optimism and opportunity. Like then, the reader is left with an overwhelming gratitude towards the gun merchant, to his story, to Mansa Devi, and even to the King Cobra. It was as if they had broken a spell of bewilderment and set free. Ghosh pursues the reader to believe that as long as those feminine and mysterious natural forces move the world, there will be a wide open sea and horizon of bright moonlight, leaping dolphins, and also outpouring hope, goddess, love, charity, and generosity. Generosity. Uh, the myth of Mansa Devi. The myth of Mansa Devi is played an important role in this in the novel. The Mansa Devi is symbolized as a power, and also she fight against the masculine authority, and she symbolizes earth and protect the nature. This is my references. Do you have any questions?
Gina, my question is that how does the portrayal of Mansa Devi challenge the traditional gender roles?
Um, in the novel, Amitav Ghosh inspired the mythical story of snake goddess Mansa Devi. In that myth. Represent as a goddess, which is who is from Bengal folktale. She represented as a power, and she can do whatever she want. And there is a male character who run away because he frightened of Mansa Devi's growth. Mansa Devi is represented as a female power, and questioning the male authority, and in many societies, male power female is oppressed, or oppressed, and female have no identity. But in the myth of Mansa Devi, she represents power, and she is the symbol of earth.
Hina, my question for you is that, according to you, how does the depiction of Mansa Devi align with modern eco-feminist movements?
Uh, there is one movement which is occur in South India. Chipko movement. That movement is very significant movement, because that movement is connected with nature, with natural calamities. In that movement, women were played an important role, because they realized that they cannot live in they can not live in uh, in the land which is not where is not trees, and they in a group hug the tree and protest against the activity which is occurring that land. Thank you.
Okay, so let us have a quick wind up of the things. I hope the sound will be going. Somebody can check in. Sound is going out. In YouTube, you can check this. Okay, so a quick feedback. So by and large, all of you have done quite well. Like citations are now proper, and you have also used in-text citations also within the slides. Also, you have mentioned, and I think everybody has tried to do that. So that is good that we don't have to now remind about in-text citation and at the end of the text citation also. So that is a very good improvement that we can see. Language also is good now. This generative AI tools are there, so there is very less chance of grammatical errors or spelling errors and other things. But now what we need to see, a very important change, which if you can bring in the coming days, then it is how to scaffold your argument, how to make your argument better. We use citations and other things so that we can make our scaffolding of argument in a better manner. So once you identify what you want to talk about, one theme is identified, topic is identified, then you try to search internet that what are the sources in and around those things. So after reading 5-10 articles, you find that here there are 3-4 arguments given. So you use those arguments to scaffold your way of looking at it. And then you try to say, what do you want to prove now? So you will begin with some idea. You will say that here so-and-so person is saying this, there so-and-so person is saying this. These are the illustrations from the text. And then you move to what you want to prove in the conclusion. So based on the arguments made by somebody in some articles and the textual evidence, you try to prove something. That is exactly the last point, where appropriate use of your in the rubric that we have mentioned. sources are exceptionally well integrated and they support claims argued in the paper or presentation very effectively. So how you very well integrate, for what purpose? To support your claim that you are arguing in the paper. A few examples if we see about this, what changes can be done. For example, in Drashti's presentation, that was on postmodernism. Okay. Let me share a screen. So in that presentation, you should have referred to some seminal writers. Postmodernism, in your citations, some seminal writers were not visible. So, for example, we did this activity to use OpenLX in our workshop to reach to seminal writers. So, if you are talking about postmodernism word, we have put here the word postmodernism, and we have seen whose names are coming. So, the very first name is Jean-Francis Lyotard. Then there is Frederick Jameson. Linda Hutchian, some of the very prominent names. Now, this should be cited. This should be used in your articles also. When you begin, you clarify the concept. So then we come to know from where the idea is coming. Yes? The same way, it was about this Cli-Fi also, Gopi's presentation. So when you talk about Cli-Fi, for example, even if you refer to a Wikipedia page of Cli-Fi, you will come to know who is the first one to use this word. Who is the first one to use this word? Is that person cited or not in your work? So here it says about one article which leads to Glass Roge has written an article. If we try to open that, we are coming to the Guardian page of global warming, the rise of Cli-Fi. And here we find the first line is a couple of days ago, Dan Bloom, a freelance news reporter based in Taiwan, wrote on the Teleread blog that his word had been stolen from him. So in 2012, Bloom had produced and packaged a novella called Polar City Red about climate refugees in a post-apocalyptic Alaska in the year 2075. Bloom labeled the book Cli-Fi in the press release and says he coined that term in 2007. So you have cited that work. This work is there, but who is the one who cited Dan Bloom? That work that is missing. So then, why he cited what he want to say? That becomes one point of argument, and then you can move on to talk about that. The same way in Hetal's presentation also, when you talk about political events and the narrative that you want to show. So you have to locate this way of looking into a larger discourse. So where and when people have talked about political events and the narrative. Last year, when we, last semester, I think we talked about Midnight's Children. At that time, we referred to this, that Midnight's Children also deals with decades of India. We referred to Forrest Gump, that how that novel, then it became a film, deals with American history in a similar manner. How film Lal Singh Chadha tried to recontextualize that in Indian context. So how the political events are taken by Lal Singh Chadha, or film Bharat or Midnight's Children. So putting in that context, now you try to talk about this. So what were the goals achieved by those narratives? How they have become classical narratives to see that literature can preserve the history in a particular manner, wherein that critical insight of the writer is very important. So in that context, if you put, then it becomes very important also. In Hina's presentation also, there was a good question that was asked, that how do you recontextualize this in contemporary times? Hetal, I think, has asked that how you align with modern ecofeminist movement. So there is a very famous article. Let me share this, which we have discussed also last time when we talked about eco-criticism. We referred to this article. So whenever you talk about ecofeminism, you have to refer to Sherry Ortner's article. Without this, your talk on ecofeminism will remain incomplete. In any interview questions also, and the title is female to male as nature is to culture. And Sherry Ortner quite interestingly argues about finding a space, which again, that style of writing, that method also is very important to what we are trying to prove, how to make arguments, how to raise questions, and then how to answer the questions. So tomorrow, try to see that you put a question in your presentation, that this is the question that you're trying to address, and then you come down to in what manner you are answering that question with textual evidence and the evidence of journals and articles and other things. So here he says, my interest in the problem is, of course, more than academic, and I want to see this. But then it says that how can we see this very point of thing? For example, he says we may differentiate 3 levels of the problem. The universal fact of culturally attributed second-class status of women in every society. So you are generalizing that all societies in the world, they have given second-class status to women. Man is a first class. The women is a secondary. That is there. Then specific ideologies, symbolizations, social structures, arrangement, they try to see that culturally women remain subjugated. Second problem, this. And third one, observable on the ground details of women's activities, contributions, power. How can you observe the thing? What are the things observable? What is said in the past is there, but what we observe? Many people, when we talk about this kinds of feminism, people will say that this is a Western concept. In Western, there is a problem. In India, there is not a problem. So what are the observables? When we observe today's societies, what way we find women's activities and other thing. So quite interestingly, Sherry Ortner presents the problem and divides the thing. And then the concerns also, that how can you prove this all things? So first is universality of female subordination. You want to see. So how will you see? What kind of data you will require? 3 types of data will be required. So you are going into that I will see this, I will see that. So, and that way you will try to see universality of female subordination, which many cultures will not agree. Like Indian culture, or many people in Indian culture will not agree with the idea of female subordination. They will give other data, other information. So how will you answer those things? You have to imagine that if so-and-so argument is given, how you are going to support that argument also. Then nature and culture also. That point, that how are we going to explain the universal devaluation of women? So in this article also, when you were talking about Mansa Devi, in this slide on deconstruction, it was good to observe that it's not Mansa Devi, it's not any women, any such spiritual power who is controlling the thing. It is climate change. It is the nature that behaves in its own manner, irrespective of anybody is controlling it. So if you try to conclude that there is a spirit, which again is a feminine spirit, and who is controlling the thing, who is sending snakes, cobras everywhere, so that the Saudagar is afraid and comes and builds a shrine on a Devi, then that narrative is to be broken. That is to be broken. It should not be supported as an argument. That is ecofeminism will try to say. They don't equate uh, women with nature. It is very dangerous equation that people do. And then it will start happening that as a nature, you should always be giver. You should never ask. So, एक दाना जमीन को दिया जाता है, 50 वापस देना है. That is how you always have to give. You can never complain. You can never say that, no, I will not give. Then you will become a bad woman. You are not like nature. Nature is motherly. So that idea is to be broken. Motherliness of nature also in eco. So it is already being discussed in ecofeminism. That should be brought in when these arguments are made. Then when we see this, when you refer to articles, this also was in, I think, Drashti's presentation, that when you refer to articles, you have to see that are those articles well written or not, they are worth citing or not. So we suggested you that you obviously the citation index is very important, but you may not find some article citation index. Then you will at least see references, how rich the references are. So if the references are not rich, like there is not a single critic cited there should be a critic who is cited only primary sources side. Now then, even if the article might be very good, we have to doubt it before referring to those things also. So this also are the thing which you have to take care when you write your dissertation also, that whatever source you are taking, you check what are they citing. If they are not citing things properly, then you should avoid those citations also. Okay, so this were a few things. Otherwise, all of you did quite well in your presentations. Okay. Reading is happening. Still try to see that you maintain eye contact either with camera or with the people rather than reading everything slide by slide. That try to come out, like Aarti, Anjali, and few others have still that habit of reading everything word by word. This. Remember that we will remove that PC someday, and you have to, we'll ask somebody to just make a second slide, and you have to see us only, not even this slide also. You just have to tell other people that you change the slides, and I will just orally talk about the things. So that way you now start preparing, that you don't read everything. You might have, when you attend seminars, conferences, you will see that the speakers do not read everything on the slide. They have eye contact. The slides are there. So they take help of slide, that when that slide comes, what I have to speak. That way they are ready. That slide, but and then they will refer to the slide, but not read the slide. Refer to slides. You memorize, when this slide comes, I will talk about this point. That way you have to do that you might have seen in the seminar. If you have not attended, video recording is still there. You can still watch and see that how are they reading everything on the slide, or they are having eye contact with the audience. Okay, good examples were there in Avani's presentation. Contemporary situations of several things happening in Gujarat education system. That was good to connect the thing. At the same time, you can also refer that in the last seminar, the people which we have invited, most of them are working in private universities. All are of either it is Lovely Professional University, Nirma University, Christ University, even Pandit Dindayal is a PPP model, private public partnership model. MET University, they all are also. And even the names are, which Chetan Bhagat criticizes. Some of the funny names, like many people had always known Nirma as washing powder. First time if you refer to something like washing powder company as a university, then people are shocked. But Nirma has built a brand. They have worked hard, and Nirma University is a reputed university. Those who are aware about the university, they do not compare that with washing powder kind of a brand image also. So that way it has become quite a reputed university. Also even Lovely Professional University Also sounds quite funny name, but that also is quite recognized university. So even in that there are good universities, which they are very less, 5-10% only, but some universities are doing good in that. Bhavyata also brought good examples for migrations. The recent examples also you have brought there. And in last 10 years, we are seeing that the graph is increasing a lot of people moving out. But good logic was given there in this one of the slides. Somebody was cited and he was telling that we are seeing big numbers because now all data is recorded. Earlier data was not recorded, so people were not aware. Now because of technology and other things, we are able to manage the data, so we can see the graph improving, or graph is available. Data visualization is available now in last 10-20 years, which was not available earlier also. On Gayatri also made a good presentation on narrative technology. Gerald Janet's things were taken as a base. Ghanshyam also did good work on that. And it was your main argument should be like when we talk about argument, then you can refer to this, that scavengers means what. So Chakrabarti's argument has given that symbolic reading. Based on that, you can make the entire thing. So less time to all those scavengers, more time to what is the symbolical connection with writers, artists, journalists, painter, how they and how you can extend that analogy of comparison. Because once you say these artists and writers are vultures, it obviously will give a negative connotation. And then how you clarify that here the vulture is seen positively. All these animals which are seen as a bad symbol in a traditional archetypal literature, here you have to re-examine and you see positive into all these animals which may find a space as a negative connotation in traditional literature. And then you see that how this artist, this kinds of artists, this kind of painters may be unwanted into a larger narrative, which is a very traditional narrative, which will always tell. Based on that, if you make argument, it becomes a good point also. Okay, so that was the day. Okay, wish you all the best for tomorrow's presentation.